It's time for the Rutherford County High School Football Show. Today's show is brought to you by Web Aesthetic Plastic Surgery and Med Spa, your hometown plastic surgeon that has been voted your favorite for the last several years. Dr. Webb and staff are honored to wish you a safe and successful football season. Moxie Pest Control, your neighborly pest service serving all of Middle Tennessee. The Yard Sale Store, here all items are up to 90% off. Michael Wilson with First Bank Mortgage. If you're buying, building, or refinancing your home in Rutherford County, give him a call at 615-596-2006. Dr. Brandon Harden with Highland Family Medicine and Reflect Wellness. Garbison Construction, they have been impacting and investing in people's lives in Rutherford County for nearly 3 decades, providing quality construction services for additions, remodels, and new construction on residential and commercial projects. And the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Remember, fans don't let fans drive drunk. And now, from Toots Restaurant in Murfreesboro, please welcome the hosts of the Rutherford County High School Football Show, Murfreesboro Post Sports Editor Monty Hale and Nick Gould.
Good morning and welcome to the Rutherford County High School Football Show. My name is Nick Gould and alongside me is Murfreesboro Post Sports Editor Monty Hale. We're here in Murfreesboro to keep you up to date on everything you need to know about high school football here in Rutherford County. With the addition of PCA stepping up to an 11-man roster this year, we now have 11 teams competing here in Rutherford County. Some of the best football in the state displayed right here in our backyards. Today we will have recaps from last weekend's games for all 11 teams. We'll take an early look at the standings and we'll preview next week's matchups. Stay with us because we also have a player of the week to decide, as well as hearing Monty's take on this week's Rutherford County Game of the Week. The Rutherford County Football Show is brought to you by Web Aesthetics, your hometown plastic surgeon who has been voted your favorite for the last several years. Dr. Webb and staff are honored to wish you a safe and successful football season. With all that being said, let's get right into it, shall we? We had a couple out-of-state games this weekend. First, let's recap the MTCS game played in Orvieto, Florida. This MTCS segment is brought to you by Moxie Pest Control, your neighborly pest service serving all of Middle Tennessee. What a win for the Cougars on Friday. They traveled all the way to Orvieto, Florida, and absolutely smacked Masters Academy.
Really did. It was a business trip, but they had fun too. Coach Christian Ferguson, ironically, he wanted to play the game on Friday night. Some people may have said, "Why didn't you play on Saturday?" And I'm not sure. I know they flew down there. I don't know exactly what all their travel arrangements was. But he goes, we didn't want to go down there. He's from there, and lightning hit, and the game get canceled.
Yeah.
And particularly with as volatile as the weather is right now. So, but fortunate, the weather was fine. It was muggy, hot, but they're used to it, and really went down there from the get-go and took advantage of them. Eli Wilson, probably going to be a Mr. Football candidate. Well, he's definitely a candidate. He accounted for almost 400 yards and 4 touchdowns rushing. Cougars improved to 2-0. So I don't know much about, obviously, the opponent in Masters Academy, but, that's 2 weeks in a row that they've come out and taken care of their business on the road. So they got to really be excited about this week.
Yeah, Masters Academy is probably not going to reschedule MTCS anytime soon.
No, unless they got a 1-for-1 there and they return the favor next year.
We'll see.
I'm not sure that's going to be the case. But, like you said, that they ended up getting, because in case they played on Saturday, they got a late flight in case they had to play, in the morning or something. And so they got to hang out at the pool all day on Sunday and fly back.
Yeah, little
like
fall
I said,
break early,
yeah,
end of summer break kind of thing.
Like I said, it's a business trip and a pleasure trip, so it all went good for the Cougars.
Yeah, 41-13 was the final score there. That wraps up our MTCS segment, brought to you by Moxie Pest Control, your friendly neighborhood pest service serving all of Middle Tennessee. Moving on, we have another out-of-state game where our Oakland Patriots traveled all the way to Indiana to face off against Center Grove, who is also looking for their 4th consecutive state title. The Oakland segment is brought to you by the Yard Sale Store, where all items are up to 90% off. Oakland fell short on Friday, 28-10. We just can't win them all, can you, Monty?
No, and this was I've already had people ask me, "What's up with Oakland?" Well, this team, as you mentioned, they've won 3 championships in a row as well. Very good team, very physical team, and Oakland got beat. But the biggest loss didn't come on the field. It came at quarterback. Kyler Creasy, the son of Coach Kevin Creasy, suffered a fractured collarbone. He's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. But that allowed a sophomore, Patrick Freeman, came in. He did some good things. Was 7 of 9 for about 47 yards. Led him on an apparent scoring drive, but the play was called back by penalty. I don't think the coach was too enamored by the Zebras that night. I think they had 11 penalties for 85 yards and had a scoop and score negated by a penalty. So, that game could have been a lot different. It wasn't. But, last year, if you remember, CPA was kind of struggling, and Oakland's rolling right along, and they got their wake-up call. CPA was kind of at a crossroads a little bit, and they whipped Oakland. And like I said, this opponent, from what I gathered from some of the comments from Coach Creasy, they play the toughest schedule, maybe the toughest schedule in the country. They lost the previous week to the number 12 team in the country.
St. Andrews, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they can't get anybody to play them. And matter of fact, the people in their own district, league, region, whatever they call it, Indiana, they just forfeit to them, say, we'll take our chances with you in the playoffs. So nobody will play them. So they're playing a powerhouse. The good thing is you hope that good comes out of it, that they learn from it.
A little wake-up call, right?
Yeah, Oakland had 3 turnovers themselves. They did some un-Oakland-like things, but I'm sure the opponent had a lot to do with it.
Yeah. I saw that St. Andrews beat Center Grove 28-10.
Yeah.
And Center Grove came back and, beat their next opponent 28-10. So we'll see if Oakland can kind of bounce back in similar fashion. I'm sure they can. That was our Oakland segment, brought to you by the Art Sale Store, where all items are up to 90% off. Now we're headed back to the state, right here in our favorite Murfreesboro football stadium, home of the Blue Raiders, and now home to our PCA Lions. This PCA segment is brought to you by Moxie Pest Control, your friendly neighborhood pest service serving all of Middle Tennessee. PCA got on the board for their first 11-man touchdown. However, they couldn't hold Canyon County and came up short 20-7. Glad to see them on the board this week. How are we feeling about this one, Monty?
I think the game was much like the previous week when they lost to Eagleville. They played them well. It was anybody's game going into the fourth quarter, and I think that's what they're looking for. You got to learn how to win. You got to, and it breeds success when you finally do win. Again, I know Coach Ferguson's not in the moral win victory, but they stood toe to toe with them. As you mentioned, Joshua Meyer scored the first TD in 11-man history for him. Alden Bolden had 2 sacks, bunch of tackles. He was all over the field. So there's been some different people the first 2 weeks to step up and do good things. And, when that happens, eventually they'll do it collectively, And I think he's got that program right on track. Sometimes you can't look at the wins and losses. You've got to look at, did you compete? Did you have a chance to win? They certainly haven't been blown out in either of their first 2 games, and as I said, they had opportunities to win both of them going into the fourth quarter. That's all you can ask right now, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a promising start for a future in PCA football.
Yeah.
So, moving on, that was our PCA segment brought to you by Moxie Pest Control, your neighborly pest service serving all of Middle Tennessee. We had a Rutherford County shootout this week between Stewart's Creek and Blackman, where the Hawks edged out the Blaze 28-21. This Stewart's Creek segment is brought to you by Michael Wilson with First Bank Mortgage. If you're buying, building, or refinancing your home in Rutherford County, give them a call. What'd you see out there, Monty?
Well, I saw a team overcome some adversity in Stewart's Creek. Now, granted, they jumped to a 21-0 lead, and really that's been a bugaboo the first 2 weeks for Blackman. But just from a Stewart Creek standpoint, Javarian Ote, their outstanding running back, goes down with an ankle injury in the first quarter. His ankle's iced. He doesn't play.
Hate to see that, yeah.
He's a guy that had over 1,100 yards and 13 touchdowns last year in just 9 games. But Caleb Floyd, Kenny Jordan had a huge 68-yard touchdown, and they were able to withstand a rally by Blackman. I mean, Blackman's score was like 18 seconds to go. So, I mean, they were never in really serious danger. But with 18 seconds to go, you got to recover an onside kick. And, like I said, Stewart's Creek, they took care of their business. I thought it would be a close game, and it was. But then flipping over to Blackman, last week they fell down big to Brentwood. And, and then they were just, they just didn't have the manpower to get back in this one. To their credit, they got back to it, but they left some opportunities out there that they've got to, things they got to correct, things they can correct. Caden Perkins, who showed some good things in week 1 against Brentwood, running back, had scored all 3 touchdowns, and I think with Blackman, it won't get any easier this week when Ravenwood comes to town, and we'll talk about that one. But this tough schedule, though, I will say this: it might not be producing results, but by the time they get into region play, they will have faced some of the best teams in the state, particularly,
they consider themselves right there with the Centennials and the Ravens.
Oh yeah,
and
they've had success against those teams in the past. This is a different Blackman team. I talked about last week. I think they had 3 guys with meaningful varsity minutes started on offense week 1. So it's a little bit of a rebuilding job, but again, they're not in the moral. Nobody's in the moral win business. You got a chance to win and don't. You're very disappointed that you didn't win. You don't say, "Well, we played them tough." Coaches aren't wired that way, And but like I said, it probably gets even tougher this week.
Yeah. That was our Stewart's Creek segment, brought to you by Michael Wilson with First Bank Mortgage. If you're buying, building, or refinancing your home in Rutherford County, give them a call. Next, we have Eagleville. Eagleville is brought to you by Moxie Pest Control, your neighborly pest service serving all of Middle Tennessee. Huge win for the Eagles this weekend. They showed out community 54-0. What a statement win for this team early on in the season.
It really was, and I think the big thing is that they got to play a lot of players. Nobody got hurt. And as Coach Walker said, you don't want to score 54 on anybody. On purpose. You don't go out there trying to run the scoreboard up. But the guys that practice just as hard as the other guys, they may not be as good as the other guys. When they get in the game, they deserve the right to play and try to score. So that's kind of what happened in that game.
Well, they're trying to solidify a starting role, or maybe get in the mix next year, and
exactly.
That's their opportunity to really show Coach what they've got,
Brody McLemore, their senior quarterback, threw for 68 and a couple touchdowns on just 2 attempts, and rushed for 55 yards and scored 2 touchdowns on just 4 attempts. So this game got over with pretty quickly. Will Becker, the backup quarterback, came in, threw a touchdown pass. Caleb Snicer had 68 yards rushing on just 6 carries, so over 10 yards a carry. And Elijah Ferns had 2 receptions for 39 yards and a touchdown. So all in all, a big night for the Eagles. And they get into region play this week at probably the favorite in Moore County. So 2-0 start, they'll take that one. And when you look at 2-0 starts or 0-2 starts, for the most part, they don't really mean anything because they're not region games. However, you can get yourself in a tie-breaking scenario, like if you've got 3 teams and one team beat one, the other one beat one. If you can't sell it head to head, the next criteria is wins.
Overall record.
So
right?
they have meaning to them, but not as far as region implications or anything like that. They don't. But it was a good win for Eagleville. They're long-time rivals. They're like 9 miles apart, if that. And so it's always good to beat a rival.
All right, well, that wraps up our Eagleville segment, brought to you by Moxie Pest Control, your neighborly pest service serving all of Middle Tennessee. Stick with us as we wrap up the recaps for last weekend's games. We also take an early look at the standings. Right back after these commercials.
I'm Dr. Webb. I'm the owner and operator of Webb Aesthetic Plastic Surgery here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. We offer services for both men and women, breast, body, and face for both.
I meet with patients who are ready to schedule surgery. We talk about their pre-op appointments, what to expect before surgery, what to expect during and after surgery.
We graduated medical school and nursing school the same day, and I had things that I believed in and stood by that I wasn't willing to compromise on. So when he came home, we had to discuss that we were on the same page with how we treated patients and staff. We want them to feel like they're part of our family.
I'm blessed through the blood of Christ, with a beautiful wife and family, to have served in the United States Navy, now serving the great town of Smyrna, and blessed that all of our boys went to Stewart's Creek. I'm Michael Wilson with First Bank Mortgage, with over 20 years experience in mortgage lending. If you're buying your first house or your fifth, refinancing or building your dream home, please call or email me, or come see me at the South Lowry branch. It would bless me to assist in financing your dreams. Why the Hawaiian shirt? Closing on your home is a celebration, not a business meeting. Go Hawks!
If you're looking for a great deal, look no further than the Yard Sale Store. Our locally owned and award-winning store is stocked with daily arrivals of new items at unbeatable prices. From housewares to sporting goods, flooring to furniture, we have everything you need. With our huge selection and discounts up to 90% off retail, you're sure to find exactly what you're looking for. Visit us today at one of our 3 convenient locations, or check out our website, yardsalestore.com, to see our latest arrivals.
What separates us from other companies in Tennessee, that's going to be our mission to our customers, is to always improve the quality of life. That's from taking care of your pest, to a friendly voice on the phone when you call, to a technician that comes out, he's competent, he's going to solve the problem for you. We're considered a full encompassing service, so we're going to take care of 50 plus different pests, and we'll always have your back.
Thanks for sticking with us as we continue to cover some of the best football in the state right here in Rutherford County. We had a low-scoring nail-biter between Rockvale and Smyrna, where the Rockets came out on top 14-9. First, we're going to talk about Rockvale, and this Rockvale segment is brought to you by Moxie Pest Control, your neighborly pest service serving all of Middle Tennessee. Take it away, Monty.
All right, Rockvale, good taste this week. Had a bad taste in their mouths after week 1, losing 21-20 at Nolensville, and their fine running back Jalen Morgan said, "I had a chip on my shoulder all week because I didn't like the way that felt." So they got them a nice road win at Smyrna. As you said, very low scoring game. I'm sure Coach Guthrie would have liked to put some more points on the board, but Smyrna, they play well at home. Rockvale didn't play poorly last week. They got beat 21-20. They left a couple scores out there, and maybe a small concern offensively right now. 3 touchdowns week 1, 2 last week, but from a defensive standpoint, they were flying all over the field Friday. I think that bodes well, because they got some teams coming up that are pretty prolific on offense in this region. When you talk about the likes of You know, Oakland, Riverdale. I think you got to throw Siegel in that mix too right now with the way they've been piling up the points. But a good solid win, you know. And what I like about this game is we already talked about the Stewart's Creek Blackman inter-county matchups. I mean, they make for great crowds. You're not spending a lot of money traveling, so I think it's good. As a matter of fact, you know, Smyrna, 3 straight weeks, you know, against a school from Murfreesboro that they'll go head-to-head with. But a good solid win for Rockvale.
Rockvale's looking pretty good. Let's flip around to the other side of the ball and talk about Smyrna. This Smyrna segment is brought to you by the Yard Sale Store, where all items are up to 90% off. Lonnie?
Well, I think Smyrna's certainly got a lot of things corrected defensively from week 1 to week 2. You hold Rockvale's got some weapons. You hold them to 14 points. You've done really good work. So they made major improvements. You know, coaches talk about it. You typically make your most improvement from week 1 to week 2. They did so defensively. Offensively, they're still struggling. You know, so. However, the Barksdale kid, he had DJ Barksdale. He had 121 yards rushing. So the least they got him involved and got him some carries, and I think that will bode well from them down the road, because if you're not a great offensive team, you can still control the clock. If you can run the ball, you know, first downs are big, you know, and because they continuously eat the clock. You know, the Army used to years ago. If you were a running back and ran out of bounds, pulled you out of the game. You wanted to run that clock, shorten it. I think that's what Smyrna's likely going to have to do, unless they're able to, you know, get better and open some things up with their passing. But he's got to be, Coach Williams got to be encouraged by the fact he did Barksdale kid. He's a big physical running back. So if they can get better up front, which they obviously got a little better up front, they just got to punch the ball in when they have a chance.
Yep. All right, we'll cover more with Smyrna a little bit later. They got a tough matchup next week. And next we have, really, it was a blowout of the year. Siegel winning 64-0 on Laverne. This Siegel segment is brought to you by Garbison Construction, who provides quality construction services for additions, remodels, and new construction on residential and commercial projects here in Rutherford County. I think the score speaks for itself. I mean, how good is senior quarterback Thomas Santel?
Well, I'd like to have him on my fantasy team. He played one half the other day.
Yeah.
Had 151 yards passing, 52 rushing, and accounted for 4 touchdowns. He now has 11 touchdowns, 8 pass, 3 rush, and 740 yards in total offense in 2 weeks. So, yeah. Terry and Grant, 83 yards receiving. Christian Fletcher, backup tailback, came in. He rushed for 100 yards in the second half. So Quentin Groves had a 70-yard pick six. So about anything that could go right. You see that in games. Anything go right for one team and everything goes wrong for the other team. And everything was clicking. That's a credit to Siegel. They come off a big win. How are they going to handle success? They more than handled it. I mean, they handled it outstandingly. And, you know, they got a big one this week against Smyrna, which we'll get into. And I think Santel right now, I mean, he's making his early case for Mr. Football consideration.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, some people may say, well, look at the opponent. Laverne's not very good. Well, you know, that remains to be seen. But they beat Shelbyville, and Shelbyville turned around, and I think they played Marshall County into an overtime game. So Marshall County is always a very solid team every year. So I like, you know, they were kind of my sleeper coming into this year. I thought they were ready to make that next step. And Coach Renshaw, in his third year now. He's got his stamp on that thing. They're building a program. You know, that's what you want to do in high school. You want to build a program. You don't want to build a good team. You want to build a program where you lose people, you just plug them up, fill them in, you know.
We had an interview with Santel. So this is their first game on the new turf. He said it's an awesome feeling to come out on the new turf and win 64-0. It's definitely an easier surface to play on. I didn't want it to delay our first home game, so when I saw the turf getting laid, I was happy, and everyone else started getting hyped up as well. You just love that, you know, a leader on the team, you know, kind of rallying the troops, getting everybody excited about a new turf, you know, that's just what you like to see in a leader.
Yeah, he's a leader. He's a really good athlete. You know, he plays basketball as well. And, you know, you mentioned turf. It's like everybody's getting turf now. It's a big deal, you know. Oakland and Blackman got it first, and then Oakland. Now you've got Stewart's Creek. You got Siegel. I mean, there's a
when they added it at my high school. I mean, we were pretty pumped about it, and we enjoyed playing on it too. You know, they'll enjoy that. That wraps up our Siegel segment. That was brought to you by Garbison Construction. Provides quality construction services for additions, remodels, and new construction on residential and commercial projects here in Rutherford County. Let's flip around and talk about Laverne. They held West Creek to 1 score last week, but could not do the same here. This Laverne segment is brought to you by Moxie Pest Control, your neighborly pest service serving all of Middle Tennessee.
Yeah, you know, I feel sorry for Coach Woodward. He does a great job. Has done a good job at Laverne, making them competitive. They've been to the playoffs. I think that's one you don't show it anymore. You just put it in a can and with them throw it away, as they said, you know. And I don't really know what to say. I think Coach Woodward said it best. He said, quote, obviously there are a lot of things we need to fix, but like I told the guys, it's just one loss, so unless your goal was to go 15-0, then we still have every goal on the table in front of us.
Absolutely.
To achieve, but we need to get better in all three phases of the game. And, I mean, that's, you know, you may say it's Captain Obvious, but that's the only way you can look at a game like that. You know, like I said, you know, sometimes that thing gets clicking for you and everything works for you. Well, then sometimes it snowballs against you, and that snowball gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's what happened last week. You know, I mean, Siegel obviously a better team, but I think everybody was surprised at that outcome.
Definitely, we hope they can rebuild next week and move on and continue to win. I mean, they do have a win this year, so they're not defeated or anything. They still got some life in them. That wraps up our Laverne segment, brought to you by Moxie Pest Control, your friendly neighborhood pest service serving all of Middle Tennessee. All right, that takes care of all of our recaps from the games last Friday. Now let's see how those results affect the standings. The 11 teams we have here in Rutherford County are spread across 4 regions and 2 divisions. Siegel, Stewart's Creek, Eagleville, and MTCS look to stay atop their regions with undefeated records. Now, it's still early in the season, and we have not gotten into region matchups. I mean, there's a whole lot of football to go, right, Monty?
Whole lot to go. We got a little bit of region activity this week. I know Eagleville certainly has a big one at Moore County, but yeah, it's going to be, you know, when you look at Class 6A, there's only 6 teams, so you got 5 non-league matchups, and most of those will come early.
Yeah, Stewart's Creek's looking to take that one. I know Laverne's kind of in the shotgun seat there, you know, trying to take them over. And then probably our most competitive division, at least with Rutherford County schools, would be that 6A Region 3. Siegel, you know, off to a great start behind their veteran quarterback. Blackman looking to bounce back. I mean, as we move into region games, I mean, it's going to go all over the place. Right now, kind of like Monty said, it doesn't matter unless maybe a tiebreak happens later in the season. So
you're just trying to get better week to week. So when you do get into region play, you're starting to peak. You know, you get about 2-4 weeks into a season, though, regardless of who you're playing, most teams, you kind of starting to get a gauge of what type of football team they have. yeah, they're definitely a playoff contender. Nah, probably not this year. You kind of get a little bit of that. Mm-hmm. And then certainly once you get in and play a couple games in your region, you're going to, teams will separate themselves from the others.
Well, thanks for sticking with us here on the Rutherford County High School Football Show. We'll be right back with Monty's picks after the break.
I'm Dr. Webb. I'm the owner and operator of Webb Aesthetic Plastic Surgery here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. We offer services for both men and women, breast, body, and face for both.
I meet with patients who are ready to schedule surgery. We talk about their pre-op appointments, what to expect before surgery, what to expect during and after surgery.
We graduated medical school and nursing school the same day, and I had things that I believed in and stood by that I wasn't willing to compromise on. So when he came home, we had to discuss that we were on the same page with how we treated patients and staff. We want them to feel like they're part of our family.
When it comes to building or remodeling, you need a builder you can trust. Look no further than Garbison Construction. Voted one of Rutherford County's best builders, we deliver quality every time, from start to finish. As a locally owned company with decades of experience, we're proud to serve Rutherford and surrounding counties. Let us help make your dream a reality. Visit GarbisonConstruction.com to learn more.
What separates us from other companies in Tennessee, that's going to be our mission to our customers, is to always improve the quality of life. That's from taking care of your past to a friendly voice on the phone when you call, to a technician that comes out and he's competent, he's going to solve the problem for you. We're considered a full encompassing service, so we're going to take care of 50 plus different pests, and we'll always have your back.
If you're looking for a great deal, look no further than the Yard Sale Store. Our locally owned and award-winning store is stocked with daily arrivals of new items at unbeatable prices. From housewares to sporting goods, flooring to furniture, we have everything you need. With our huge selection and discounts up to 90% off retail, you're sure to find exactly what you're looking for. Visit us today at one of our 3 convenient locations or check out our website, yardsalestore.com, to see our latest arrivals.
We're back here in Murfreesboro, giving you everything you need to know about high school football right here in Rutherford County. Moving on, we have Monty's picks for this Friday's matchups. We'll start with Eagleville at Moore County.
Alrighty, before I get into those, this was brought up over the weekend. When was the last time Oakland, Riverdale, and Blackman lost on the same day? It was August 26th, almost 17 years to the date that they lost. Oakland lost to Franklin, Blackman lost to Lincoln County, and Riverdale lost to McCauley on a Hail Mary pass. And it's only happened 3 times ever. 2002, 2003, and then last Friday night. So a little bit of trivia there. Thanks to Melinda Jones for sending me that. So I really got to give her credit for it. So.
Well, that goes to show, the kind of dominance Murfreesboro does have, against the rest of the state. When 3 of their top teams win almost every week. There's never a time when they all lose. But moving on, we do have our picks here. We are going to start with Eagleville at Moore County. How are you feeling about that one?
This is smash mouth football. Eagleville, Chris White is the coach there. He played at Riverdale and MTSU. He's coached in this county. He's the head coach. His son is unbelievable. It's an unbelievable quarterback. That's where it starts with them. And they're, like I said, they're very physical. Moore County, they're favored to win that. And as much as I hate to do it, I got to pick Moore County about 28-13.
Deliver the Eagles their first loss, Mom.
Yes.
All right. Moving on, we have Blackman versus Ravenwood. This is a tough one.
Yeah, it is. Ravenwood, they had one loss that was to Alcoa, which beats everybody just about, regardless of what classification they're in. Probably outmanned again in this one for Blackman. what they got to do, they got to get off to a better start. You get down 21 to those cats, you're in deep trouble. So, but I've got to pick Ravenwood, 38-14.
Okay. I hope Blackman can bounce back. Moving on, we got Laverne versus Wilson Central.
Wilson Central off to a good start. Laverne 1-1. This has typically been a pretty competitive game. I think Laverne's got a lot of things to work out. I expect them to play a lot better, but I'll take Wilson Central 27-12.
Okay. Next, we got PCA at Mount Juliet Christian.
Great shot here. I think Mount Juliet Christian's 2-0, and I don't ever remember them being 2-0. But another good chance. They are both in Division II, Class A. They are not in the same region, but I think you're just getting into a deal with experience. Every team that PCA plays this year is going to have a major leg up on them in experience. So I'll take Mount Juliet Christian 20-14.
How you feel about Oakland at Haywood?
Haywood puts up a lot of points. I think they're in 4A. Another long road trip. They're getting the mileage in this year. Oakland is. Oakland, quarterback's out. They had some other injuries. Didn't specify them. But that was a physical game that they played last week. I just think Oakland comes back and wins. I'm going to call it 42-20.
All right. Next, we have Rockvale versus Tullahoma.
Well, this is a game I think Rockvale should win. Would like to see them pick it up offensively. Tullahoma, you cannot look past them. They did beat Coffee County, who is in Rockvale's region, last week in the Coffee Pot game. But I'm going to take Rockvale at home. Been on the road 2 weeks.
Home opener?
Yeah, the crowd they get juiced up out there. So I'm going to pick Rockvale 28-17.
Saw them finishing some renovations out there on the bleachers and stuff. It's a beautiful facility out there. So good luck to the Rockets out there. Next, we have MTCS versus GCA.
Great matchup. I talked about MTCS week 1 when they played Columbia Academy. It had like a playoff game feel to it, how competitive both these teams are. Grace has had MTCS's number a little bit in this series. I tell you what, though, MTCS, they got a lot of players back. They've got this got a very talented team. I'm going to pick them in a close one here, 34-30.
Okay. Next, we got Stewart's Creek at Hillsboro.
Tough matchup for the Creek. Going on the road. Don't know Javarian Ote's status for this game. They could certainly use him, although they used the next man up philosophy, and it paid off handsomely last week. But I'm going to take Hillsboro 28-23.
Hillsboro's, they're a tough team,
Yes.
Especially going on the road. All right, next we have another good matchup. Let's see, Riverdale versus Beach.
Great matchup here. Great matchup. Riverdale coming off a tough one, 21-20 at Henry County. It was a weird game, as all coach would say. And Beach are getting a team that's 1-1 as well, but only lost by 7 at Collierville. And Collierville's got a good team this year. That was a long trip, tough place to play. I'm going to take Riverdale at home, 31-30.
Go Warriors.
Going with the Warriors.
All right, stick with us as we have a Player of the Week to announce, as well as hearing Monty's take on this week's Rutherford County Game of the Week.
I'm Dr. Webb. I'm the owner and operator of Webb Aesthetic Plastic Surgery here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. We offer services for both men and women, breast, body, and face for both.
I meet with patients who are ready to schedule surgery. We talk about their pre-op appointments, what to expect before surgery, what to expect during and after surgery.
We graduated medical school and nursing school the same day, and I had things that I believed in and stood by that I wasn't willing to compromise on. So when he came home, we had to discuss that we were on the same page with how we treated patients and staff. We want them to feel like they're part of our family.
What separates us from other companies in Tennessee, that's going to be our mission to our customers, is to always improve the quality of life. That's from taking care of your past to a friendly voice on the phone when you call, to a technician that comes out, he's competent, he's going to solve the problem for you. We're considered a full encompassing service, so we're going to take care of 50 plus different pests, and we'll always have your back.
Watch it! Did that guy even see that girl on her bike?
Just like looking for other cars before switching lanes, drivers should keep their eyes out for those traveling on bikes. When a crash occurs between a vehicle and a bike, it's the cyclist who is most likely to be injured. Give cyclists room and do not pass too closely. Riders have the same rights and responsibilities as those behind the wheel.
Be aware, be alert. Brought to you by THSO, the Tennessee Highway Safety Office.
Welcome back to the Rutherford County High School Football Show. The players fight hard every week for their teams, and we believe they deserve recognition for their effort and excellence seen on the field. Monty, who you got for this week's Player of the Week?
Well, I'm going to give some love to a defensive player this week. You know, we get wrapped up in the stats, but these are pretty impressive stats. I'm going to go with linebacker Noah Lilly from Eagleville.
Congratulations, Noah.
He had 7 tackles, but he had 3 interceptions. So, and he also plays running back part-time too. So, those numbers stand out pretty well. He's a really outstanding linebacker, and to get 3 picks, you don't get those very often.
3 picks for a linebacker. I mean, you might see a DB or a safety getting that, but a linebacker, I mean, he must be just cutting them off. You know what I mean?
So I'm going with junior Noah Lilly from Eagleville High School.
Congratulations, Noah. All right, and last up, we have our Game of the Week. Game of the Week is always going to be between 2 Rutherford County schools. We actually really only have one. Before we get into the region games, everyone's kind of playing everywhere else. But this week, we do have Smyrna at Siegel.
Yes, we said Smyrna's 3rd consecutive game against the in-county team.
Yep.
Smyrna struggling offensively. It doesn't bode well against the Siegel team that has really been lighting up the scoreboard. Probably the best defense Siegel has seen, though, Smyrna will be. They made a lot of improvements last week, as we said, in holding Rockville to 14 points. But I am going to pick Siegel to win 31-14.
All right. I might have to agree with you there. Siegel just looks too strong, out the gate. And, all right, that wraps up this week's Rutherford County High School Football Show. My name's Nick Gould, alongside Murfreesboro Post sports editor Monty Hale. Stick with us next week as we continue to cover Rutherford County High School football. Thanks.
You've been watching the Rutherford County High School Football Show with Murfreesboro Post sports editor Monty Hale and Nick Gould. Read this week's Murfreesboro Post for all the latest news about Rutherford County High School sports. The Rutherford County High School Football Show has been brought to you by Webb Aesthetic Plastic Surgery and Med Spa, Moxie Pest Control, The Yard Sale Store, Michael Wilson with First Bank Mortgage, Dr. Brandon Hardin with Highland Family Medicine and Reflect Wellness, Garbison Construction, and the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Join us each week at this time on Main Street Media TV to get the latest on Rutherford County football.